Welcome to the 11th episode of the Punch Plan podcast. And in this episode, we are joined by Otis Pimpleton, who is a longtime professional boxing coach, as well as the boxing coach of internet sensation Jarvis. So, Jarvis has been boxing since probably about a year now, with his fight against Michael Lee in last June. What was the time that you and Jarvis met, and how did you guys meet?
Actually, he was referred to me by Andre Berto.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And I just recently saw Andre after the fight
Mhm.
at Mandalay Bay last week. And, we talked about it. He said that they were asking him about the best person he could uh, think of to train Jarvis from the ground up. And he told him me.
oh
Wow.
wow.
And
Yeah.
I told him I just wanted to thank him for it. It was an honor. And, I'm just glad that, people do remember me.
Mhm. And when Jarvis initially started training and boxing with you, what were your kind of first impressions on his skill set and him? Like, was he kind of disciplined and motivated to get inside the ring? And kind of what did you see in him early on?
Early on, he was very disciplined, very eager to learn,
Mhm.
and I really had to pull him back a little bit because he just wanted to keep going and going. And I told him he'll burn out if he just
Yeah.
keep going. You
Uh-huh.
know,
So, from what you've seen of Jarvis and his ability, how far do you think he's gonna take his boxing career? Do you see him maybe having a future competing professionally? As I mean, he's much younger than a lot of these influencers, and he's only 20 years old. So, what do you think his future in boxing holds?
but it's really hard to say. That's up to him because he has
Yeah,
a very strong mindset.
For sure.
I mean, even people like Ryan Garcia was calling him out after the fight.
damn.
And like I told Ryan, we'll fight you because I trained you. I was going to train Ryan, but he didn't sign with Floyd. And I'll let my guys fight anybody
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I think we have the ingenuity and the know-how to do it.
Hmm.
Hmm. And when you guys were around first started training and kind of when you guys were in the camp for the fight against Michael Lee, what were the first main skills you wanted to develop into Jarvis to be make sure he's ready for the fight?
His footwork, his stepping.
Hmm.
Many people are not able to put their hand, eye, and feet coordination together. And that's what boxing is missing today because we have, as you can see, we have a lot of YouTube fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, Jake Paul and those guys are taking over the sport because they have viewers. They're putting people in the seats, not initially in the arena, but at home as well. So,
Hmm.
I mean, with that being said, the YouTubers are really changing the sport of boxing. And the people that call themselves trainers in boxing should be ashamed that you have kids coming in from playing video games that are able to do something with some of these fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Especially
mean,
because they're
I
making
mean,
such a
there should be there wouldn't be a snowball chance in hell as Jarvis waking up and going in there and beating Floyd. You know what I mean?
hmm
But granted, at the end of the day, there might be a final outcome.
yeah, especially with how fast a lot of these influencers are making a splash into the sport.
Right.
yeah, and like
So
you're sorry.
I'm listening.
Like you're talking like the hand-eye coordination and obviously his initial popularity and his growth on social media being from his
Right.
talents in like the video game world and him kind of growing up on that, being signed to like Face Clan, the gaming organization. Do you
Right.
think there were like any attributes from like him being a gamer that helped him as a boxer, like his reflexes and hand-eye coordination, maybe his ability to pick up new stuff in boxing?
Well, I never knew anything about Jarvis. I I didn't know Jarvis from Adam.
Hmm.
And kids would come in the gym and tell me I don't know who I'm training and how famous he is. And my grandson was like, Poppy, that's FaZe Jarvis. I'm like, who the fuck is FaZe Jarvis?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know who the fuck a FaZe Jarvis is. And
Right.
he's like, he's famous. I said, I'm famous. I don't give a shit. I said, but and me and Jarvis developed a great relationship, but him with his eye coordination, yes. but there's certain little things that I want to discuss that was a setback from gaming.
Mm.
And you wouldn't notice
Interesting.
it unless you sit there and watch some of the things a person repeatedly does when they're training.
Uh-huh.
And I finally had to put two and two together because doing anything you have side effects of that. Say like you might have a little nerve condition because all you're doing is tapping your fingers. Your fingers stimulate your nerves. So there's little things, but as far as his attributes, he learned quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I put him in there with some top fighters.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
Jarvis was in there with some. I had a girl that's two-time world champion. I had a guy that was world champion that I had inspired with. Um, I mean, I put him in there with everybody I had.
Yeah.
I put him in there mainly with my top kid that's one of the top junior welterweights right now. And we just took him and groomed him along the way. And I mean, it's different when you're living it every day. And Jarvis got outside of his element and did all of that.
Yeah, and it's great to
Getting
hear.
up at getting up at 6 a.m., going up in the mountains, go jogging, and
Mhm.
I had them pushing cars. I have them shadow boxing while they jog, shuffling forwards, backwards, sideways. I mean, these are things that a regular fighter does, and if he's going to train with me, I can't change who I am.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I asked him. I finally got to the point. I said, "Well, how do you want to win this fight?" He said, "I want to knock him out." I said, "Well, that's how we got to train." So I had people really in his ass to where he was getting pummeled. And I told him, I said, "It's not a good feeling, is it?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, that's what I expect him to feel."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's great for
You know?
someone who's really trying to pick up the sport quickly and learn
Right.
at a rapid pace. Put him against guys who know more and have been doing it longer.
Yeah, because boxing isn't for everybody. But
Yeah.
at the same time, as a trainer or coach, you got to sit there and monitor that because you can't let it go overboard because you can lose your sense of trust in me as well as your desire to do what you're doing because it
Mm-hmm.
can break you to where you think I can't do this. But every day, like I told Jarvis, keep a journal, and every day should be better than the previous day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we know for the Michael Lee fight, you were training with Jarvis very frequently because, of course, you were in the camp. But since that fight, have you guys still been working pretty often together?
No, Jarvis is in England right now. He's coming back over. He told me to work, so we'll get back on it. I guess once he get, I have him work. I sent him to a gym over in England where he's at. I think in Essex, over in that area,
Mm-hmm.
and had him get with someone over in there that can keep him going until he comes here, so he won't lose it. And when he get here, we'll just add to what he's doing.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So even when you're away, still making sure he's always ready.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, we stay in touch.
yeah. And I'm now more onto the fight with Michael Lee. There were a lot of unknowns in that first fight. With obviously there wasn't much footage on his opponent.
Right.
So what was your game plan coming into that fight back in June, and how do you think that Jarvis responded and executed what you wanted?
Jarvis responded far and above what I thought he would, but as long as he listened, like I told him, he would do well.
Hmm.
And I always teach my guys to go in on angles, or if you notice, everyone that's boxing is now toe to toe. Everything is toe to toe.
Hmm.
There's no chemistry there. There's no science. And I teach my guys to divide and dissect the body. So either take the left hand, the left side, the right side, wherever you want to go. But I want you to go to the strongest side first, which is going to generally be the jab hand. Take that away, nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what he did. I mean, once he hit Michael Lee, you see the look on his face was like,
Yeah,
damn,
Yeah.
this guy can crack.
for
And
sure.
he knocked the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the Michael Lee fight, we know it was probably the biggest stage and atmosphere that Jarvis has been on to date. So kind of what are your thoughts on how Jarvis managed to deal with the pressure of the event?
He handled that great. I mean, we would like I told him, I don't like to hide from the public. So we're at the hotel and we're outside working on the patio. My back is to, to the pool and everything. And so Jarvis says, Coach, we got an audience. I'm like, huh? So I thought there was a couple of kids. There must have been about 70 or 80 kids out there.
Oh, wow.
So I told him, I said, well, one thing I do want you to do is to pay attention to the people that make you famous. So we had all the kids come over and, they watched him work up close and, we just kept going and, let him take it in because it's different than being in the gamer world because now you're an individual they can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Online, it's streaming. It's still to a lot of people, but it's not. They're not there. It's not. They're not
Right.
in front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
So
was surprised that so many people knew who he was. I was like, damn, Jarvis,
yeah.
I'm not the famous one here no more. You are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Millions of people know him worldwide.
He's a great kid. And, you got I can't take it and let him say, okay, we're going to do what you want to do, Jarvis. We got to do what's necessary to be done.
Mhm. And
And he really puts himself in the moment
yeah.
and everything that he does.
Yeah, it was a great performance, and he had probably one of the biggest takeaways of that entire event of the YouTubers versus TikTokers, and had
I
his
think you did.
his
I
knockout
think you
went
did.
pretty viral.
I
So
mean, for Ryan Garcia to get online talking about he wants to fight you, like, look, dude, we can fight Ryan. Believe me, we can fight Ryan
yeah,
Garcia.
hmm
Ryan Garcia is just like Jarvis. He is a YouTuber.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Ryan's also been boxing for a long time, and like
It
his whole
don't
life.
it don't
So
matter. He's
it
been
would be
boxing a
very
long time, but he's been
mhm,
in amateurs for a long time. But in
yeah.
pro boxing, he hasn't been in any tough pro competition.
hmm
I've got enough guys around to get Ryan ready. I mean, to get Jarvis ready to beat Ryan.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation.
What were your thoughts on how Jarvis set up the knockout of Michael Lee that he managed to get in like the second round? What did you think of the how he was able to execute?
He wanted a second round knockout.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally told me, he said, I want a second round knockout. So I said, okay. So in the
Predicted
first
it.
round, you can't fill him out. You got to start getting him out. You got to start letting him know he's getting out of there. So once he
Yeah.
started coming forward, I mean, yeah, Michael Lee did come forward at first until he finally got hit. And
Yeah.
once I told Jarvis, I need you jabbing your way to him. If you notice, as Jarvis left the corner, he left the corner literally jabbing his way to this kid. So by the time you get there, your range is already set. And when he hit him with the right hand, it started to take him out.
Yeah, he really did start early, and that's the first round already. He was getting eight
Yeah,
counts left and right, and was really
yeah,
putting it on him, and then got the finish.
Yeah, he was having
right,
huge success. And
correct.
during the training camp, how did you guys kind of prepare for Michael Lee? Was the camp more focused around just Jarvis and sharpening his tools, or was there also maybe a little bit of focus on Michael Lee and what he might be able to bring to the fight?
I don't never focus on what another guy can bring to the fight. I let them worry about
Mhm.
what we're bringing to the fight because if we worry about it, that means we're skeptical of something they can do.
Yeah.
So I try
Mhm.
to go over all avenues of what should be done pretty much throughout every interval during the fight.
hmm
You know, you figure a person with no experience are coming wild punches, they're throwing overhand punches, so you really got to be aware of that. But while they're throwing looping and overhands, you're coming down the pipes, which is going to get there first.
hmm
So I've never really worried about what someone brings to the fight because you have to have a body condition and the mindset to go through. all of that.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
especially with there not being much on Michael Lee anyways, there wasn't really anything to analyze for that fight.
Right. I mean, there's really nothing much. I mean, all you can see, he's a mama's boy.
Yeah. And with Jarvis's brother, Frazier Kay, playing a big role in his fight against Michael Lee in the corner, and
Right.
Frazier's actually now looking to get into boxing. Is there a possibility that you'd be training with him alongside Jarvis?
If he wants, I mean, that's his call. I don't
Yeah.
mind.
All right.
The more the merrier. I have a great group of fighters. I call my guys the dream team because
Yeah.
everybody wants to know what it feels like to be in the moment. And like I said, what I've learned from Roger Mayweather and Floyd Mayweather and the Mayweather family, and along with their cousin John Patterson before he passed, I just think I'm the man to carry the torch
Hmm.
to become the next great trainer out there, and keep making my trainer happy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if Frazier wants to box, I'm here anytime.
Hmm.
They're
Yeah.
good kids, and everybody needs to have an adult that's there with them, alongside them, but that doesn't mind helping them along the road.
Yeah.
Mhm. And now we're gonna be talking a bit about some of the talk between Jarvis and Money Kicks, and kind of first, have you kind of seen some of the potential fights with the influencer Money Kicks, and who's had kind of some controversy between some of his fights? And do you have any kind of thoughts of him as a boxer? And have you seen any of his fights or some abilities that he may
I
have?
watched I watched a couple of his fights on YouTube. Not impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just what he is, a person that wants to be in a ring, and he's throwing punches, but they're all wild. And I mean, I could see Jarvis being 2-0 with 2 knockouts.
Yeah. It's definitely a good matchup for Jarvis there, but it's interesting if that
Yeah,
fight
it'd
will get
be
made.
definitely an interesting
As
matchup.
I mean, the Showstar Boxing, who's has an event in a couple of weeks now in the
Right,
UK,
right.
the UK versus USA, they've recently posted that they're willing to put on Jarvis versus Money Kicks for a charity event for like $200,000. But the event's in like 3 weeks, so do you think Jarvis would still like be prepared on a short camp?
It's in what? It's in March.
Yeah, March 5th.
I mean, I can have Jarvis ready in a week on it. It doesn't matter. Him and Money Kicks, he'll be Money Kicks overnight.
Yeah. And how would you kind of see like a potential fight between Money Kicks and Jarvis playing out? And do you think like how would you say their boxing skills would compare at all if they do?
From what I've seen on Money Kicks, there is no comparison to his boxing skills against Jarvis's. Even though if his boxing skills plays into my Jarvis has a different mindset when he kicks in gear. When if you tell him to go ahead and kill, take the guy out, that he doesn't mind doing.
Killer instinct? Yeah.
He can actually click the switch and go at a person. He
Yeah.
knows he's gonna get hit doing it, but it's about when you get there what they can handle with you.
Yeah, we even saw that in his fight with Michael Lee. He was had a big killer instinct and was going for the kill
Right,
from the start.
right. Because he said he wanted a second round knockout. I said, the only way you're gonna get it, you gotta start now. So by doing that, we start warming up in the dressing room early.
Hmm.
So instead of waiting until the third or fourth round, you're already in the third or fourth round when you go out.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
with Money Kicks and Jarvis going back and forth on social media, and do you think Money Kicks really wants to fight with Jarvis, but as he doesn't really seem to want it unless it's on his own turf where he kind of has control in his own event.
Well, he
So
feels as though he's living off the wealth of his dad, so
yeah,
he can make that call. If your dad's worth $2 billion, fine. If it's about the money, we'll come and beat your ass and get the money. But we don't care what a fight is at. I mean, we don't. There's no A side or B side when it comes to winning.
yeah. Do you think?
People are always worried about whether they're the favorite or not favorite. Even if you're the favorite, you have people that don't favor you.
Yeah. Do you think Money Kicks is just trying to build up his name in boxing by using Jarvis's name without really fighting him?
Well, I'm very impressed that he wants it to be against Jarvis. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, probably so. And if Jarvis is the one for people to build a name on, cool. You know, let's do it. But
Yeah.
we'll get back. We have to get back together and continue moving forward.
Yeah. And there's been like a ton of rumors with Money Kicks. First, it was kind of initially with Jarvis, and then then with Floyd Mayweather, and that seems now to be scrapped. And kind of in your opinion, what do you think would have happened in that kind of fight slash event, even though it would have been like the biggest mismatch in boxing?
It'll be the biggest mismatch in boxing, and you couldn't take that kid and pour him on Floyd. You couldn't melt him down and pour him on Floyd. Even
Yeah.
at 44 years of age, almost, Floyd is better than 99% of the people out there doing boxing. But it's a compliment to Floyd that everyone wants to try and do what he's doing now.
Right.
It's very complimentary, and I think we all take it and we enjoy it. But when Floyd does train, we train hard.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that's it for our questions. Thank you for coming on. It was an honor having you here.
Thank you very much.
Likewise,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
Appreciate your
Thank you.
time.